But anyway, you get in the jacuzzi till you're too hot, and then you dive into the ice cold pool.
Right.
And the first time, you pretty much walk on water because it's cold, you know. And then you do a lot of oh, you
Yeah.
know? And then you get a little bit comfortable. You go back into the jacuzzi. So think about what you're doing before you go to bed. If you're playing really stimulating music, or if you're playing punk rock or something, or gangster rap, and you're going to go to bed singing those songs in your head, ooh, that's not a good thing. You know,
Right.
it's not good for your heart. It's not good for your brain, and therefore not good for any part of you. So be careful what you're listening to before you go to bed. And be careful what you're watching before you go to bed, because that's going to be playing in your brain, whether you're thinking about it when you go to sleep or not. That's ridiculous. Okay. I understand it's uncomfortable. And I know that. Okay. I've experienced it. But the problem is, if you need more oxygen, you're going to lose the function of your brain if you don't get it. And it could kill you. So when somebody tells me, well, I just don't like that and I just can't sleep that way, put on your big boy or big girl pants and do this.
Right.
You're asking me for help. I'm telling you what will help you. Take responsibility for your health. Grow up.
This is the Wonder Network, where we discuss healthy options for humanity. I'm Michael Lane. Joining me today, my co-host is Dr. Val. Dr. Val is a retired seasoned naturopathic physician and registered nurse with over 4 decades of experience, spanning various realms of acute care, including emergency, intensive care, cardiac care, home health, and home hospice. How you doing today, Dr. Val?
Pretty good, Michael. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Wonderful on the
Good.
Wonder Network. There you go. No pun intended. So, what is our topic today? What are we discussing today?
An effective sleep routine.
And
You
effective,
know,
and I think
people,
everyone can benefit from that.
yeah, especially since all of the eclipses and solar flares and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
yes.
there's a lot that can go wrong with your sleep routine. So I'm just going to give you some quick little categories here, and we'll
Okay.
discuss a little bit about it. But just know that if you can't sleep, there's a lot more to be considered than you think. And if you're the type of person that just wants to pop a pill and go unconscious, then this isn't going to be for you, because all of these methods that I'm going to mention take a little bit more time. And, sleep is very, very important, but it's got to be the type of sleep that'll get you into a deep delta. And if you're not in the deep delta brainwave, you're not going to get the rest and relaxation that you want. And
Right.
sure, there are drugs that can put you there, but drugs have a lot of side effects. So I'm going to mention a few things that people can try, but like anything else, you have to try it. Try these different things and see what works for you and what doesn't. But I'm going to give you the most general things that really help people. So we're going to start with light. Part of getting into the proper part of your circadian rhythm, the sleep wake cycle, is to turn off the blue light. And I'm sure everybody's heard about that. Computers and TVs, all these electronic screens, they're blue light. And so the blue light is going to trigger your melatonin to go away, which is the sleep chemical, one of them. And it's going to keep you alert. And that's not what you want when you're trying to go to sleep. So the first thing you want to do is about 2 hours before bedtime, you want to start dimming the lights. And if you have LED lights, this is extremely important because LED has radiation and it's not natural light. So
Right.
you want incandescent lights, and you want to switch to a red, orange, or yellow light for the evening. And you can buy these colored light bulbs. It's not difficult. There's places that sell whatever color you want. They call them party lights.
Right.
But last time I bought a bunch, I bought a couple cases of red incandescent party lights. No, I was not planning on going into a different business by
Yeah, so
myself.
to just say, yeah, the red light district. Yep.
So I have one light on that I use as I'm going to bed. So it's only on for about that 5 or 10 minutes while I'm getting myself prepared to get into bed. And that's it. But I start turning everything else down. And you can get apps that do this too, by the way, for your computer. So you can just look that up online. There's all kinds of apps that will allow you to set the time that you want the blue light on your computer to go down and you want things to go more to a yellowish, kind of a light orange color.
Okay.
So yeah, you can do that. I forget what they're called, but I had them on my all my last computers that crashed. So I haven't put it on this one yet. But yes, you can get that and it will do it every night. So if you go to bed at say 10 o'clock at night, you want your lights to go dim at least 2 hours before. So, say you finish dinner at 6 o'clock. Okay, time for lights to go down and for things to get quiet.
Right.
So, you don't want to sit down and watch an action movie. In fact, you don't want to watch anything if you can help it. What you want to do is you want to just enjoy relaxing and getting into the preparation for bed. Now, that's hard if you've got kids and they're bouncing off the walls. So don't feed them sugar. Okay. If you give your kids a sugar high and you think you're going to go to bed, yeah, forget it. That doesn't usually work. So what you want to do is you want to mimic the conditions that mankind started with. So that's firelight. So that's a good time to, if you're going to use your computer, to put on the fireplace, you know, and to have that flickering red, orange, yellow light,
Right.
because that's how humanity started and continued until this last century. So that's one of the things that triggers your body to start releasing the melatonin so that you can start to get sleepy. So stop the computers and TV unless you're putting on the fireplace um, meme or fireplace video. You want your music to come down. So you want to do things that are soothing. Like this is where the 432 hertz stuff comes in really nicely
Okay.
and the 528 hertz. You want to generate that feeling of love within yourself, whether you're with a partner or not. You want that calmness, that peace, and that relaxation that comes with those two specific hertz bands. And that will help you to kind of get ready or listen to some classical music, but something sweet and gentle, or even some ambient stuff. Like, back when all this different type of mood music really started,
Right.
they used to just go out into the wilderness and just record nature sounds.
Yep.
And I had every one of those tapes, let
They
me
are
tell you.
nice. They're nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very nice. And so you want to put something on that's soothing, that's not going to startle you awake. So, like a jungle tape does not work because there's always some loud parrot or something
Yeah.
that's making too much noise in the middle of it. So, think about what you're doing before you go to bed. If you're playing really stimulating music, or if you're playing punk rock or something, or gangster rap, and you're going to go to bed singing those songs in your head, ooh, that's not a good thing. You know,
Right.
it's not good for your heart. It's not good for your brain, and therefore not good for any part of you. So be careful what you're listening to before you go to bed, and be careful what you're watching before you go to bed, because that's going to be playing in your brain, whether you're thinking about it when you go to sleep or not. So that's an important thing. The next thing is temperature. Cooler temperature helps you to sleep better. Now, I'm one of those people that likes a goose down quilt, but I'm usually too hot. So I crank my temperature down. I have a good air conditioner and I know how to use it. So I make sure that it's cool so that I can go to sleep, because it's hard for me to go to sleep when it's hot because I'm already too hot.
Right.
So, for your heart health and your comfort, you want the room to be cool and dark. So if you're a night worker, this means you need blackout drapes. and you need it to be quiet and you need that room to be cool. And as one of those myself who worked nights for most of my life, I had to resort to that. No matter how exhausted I was, if I wanted to wake up refreshed, I had to block out all the light and block out all the noise and hope that nobody in the neighborhood was going to be making a bunch of noise. So those are important things to consider. The other thing you want to do is consider your bed linens. I talked briefly about frequencies of fabric in a couple other of the videos, but linen is the best thing to really help you to sleep. And if you can't afford that, then go for 100% cotton, but not highly processed. So you don't want the really slick, silky feeling sheets. You want something that is basically just cotton, no huge processes to make it feel better. Okay. Personally, I like linen the best. And the reason is because being a hot person, I really don't do well with cotton because it tends to be too hot for me. Whereas linen will keep you cool in the heat and warm in the cold. So
Right.
that works out really well. And like I said, I like to have a goose down quilt. So, I'll put that on usually right before I fall asleep because your temperature is going to naturally drop in about the first 40 minutes and you could catch a chill. So if you're not used to doing this, you want to have another blanket and you want it to be natural fiber. So like a cotton thermal blanket, or like I have a cotton duvet cover over my goose down quilt. So, I'm keeping the frequencies pretty much. Cotton is about 100 if it's organic, 70 if it's non-organic,
I was going to
whereas
ask you that.
linen is 5,000.
Should it be organic?
Yeah, because we're talking about loading frequencies into your body that are beneficial to help you heal
Right.
and to feel better. So, people say, well, you can't mix them. It's like, okay, look, linen's got a 5,000 frequency. I don't think the 100 of cotton is going to disable it, you know, and
Right.
I've doused it too. It's fine. So, and then in the wintertime, you might want to use wool. But again, it's not supposed to be mixed with linen because they will wipe each other out. You'll have zero. And the whole point of making sure that you have good bed linens is so that you can kind of gather those frequencies into your body so that you can heal the body. So the animal frequencies go on the side of wool, it spins in one direction. And the plant frequencies spin in the other direction. This is why you don't put them together because they're going to spin in opposite directions.
Right.
Okay. But the bed linens do make a huge difference. And I found like the first couple of nights I was sleeping on good linen sheets, I had a hard time really falling asleep because I was used to highly processed bamboo. It was silky and beautiful, and it also kept me cool in the heat and warm in the cold. But I was used to that silky feel. So it took me a couple days. The linen was a little bit rough. But
Right.
after you wash it several times, it softens. But by the third night, I could tell the difference, big difference in my energy levels.
Hmm.
So I'm a believer, you know. You don't have to convince me now. I've seen it.
Probably
And
goes,
like I said,
does it feel like you're going a little bit, I don't know, just had a thought pop in because you get used to that silky feel. So if you go to that, you know, more of a
the
natural
linen
cotton,
doesn't.
it's kind of like feel
You
like
don't
you're
get
on
a silky feel
sandpaper.
with that. It's not quite sandpaper. It's a little bit rough,
Is it?
but and if you're transitioning from the silky feel of highly processed fibers
Right.
down to a linen, which is more of a homespun type of fiber, then yeah, it takes a couple days to get used to. But now I love it because I could tell the difference in my own energy and how I felt. And
Is,
so
is,
that made a huge difference to me.
is
And
the linen sheet still even a little rough?
yeah,
Are they? I've never
yeah,
slept on linen sheets. I don't believe.
yeah. Well, I mean, you could get a really dense linen sheet that would be smoother, but
Okay.
that's way expensive. So if you're going to spend $1,000 for
Oh, wow.
linen sheets, then yeah, you could get it smoother.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to be highly processed, which you
All
don't
right.
want
Right.
because the processing destroys the frequency.
Right.
So that's one thing. And you want to make sure, that you're going to be comfortable through your sleep. And like I said, your body temperature is going to drop, and it's usually going to drop by about 5 degrees. So when you go to bed and you've just been moving around, you're going to be warm. And then when you stop moving, then the temperature is going to plummet, and then you're going to be cold. So you want to have varying thicknesses of things that you can just whip over you really quick so that you don't lose any sleep over it. Otherwise, there's no point in laying there freezing all night,
Right.
shivering. That's not going to help unless you're really trying to build brown fat in the body, the thermogenic stuff, then yeah, that'll probably work. So the linens are important. Okay, then there's some sleep helps. So one of the more common sleep helps in the natural arena is golden milk. And there's different variations of what you can make with that. But it's basically turmeric and milk or almond milk or, whatever it is that you want to use. But milk is better because milk contains tryptophan. So that's going to actually help you to sleep.
Okay.
So you're going to put turmeric in it and usually some ginger and some, depending on how you like it to taste. I put some cardamom in it, um, cinnamon, and honey. And you can look it up online. There's lots of very similar golden milk recipes, and you can
Right.
mix all the dry ingredients up. So you just have to spoon into your teacup later. But that can really help with sleep. It helps you to relax. And you can also take magnesium. A lot of the times, the reason people can't relax is because they're magnesium deficient. And especially with the chemtrails, when they are putting a lot of heavy metals out in the chemtrails like barium, it depletes the
Right.
magnesium in your body. And you'll be able to tell because you'll suddenly get constipated and you won't be able to sleep very well. And, it's pretty easy to supplement with magnesium. It's not expensive. And there's different types of magnesium. So you want to go online and research the different types and what works best for sleep. And again, experiment. Not everybody's the same. We've all got all kinds of weird chemical processes going on that are different due to genetics and due to environmental pollutions and things like that. So take it easy on yourself, go see what's going to work. A lot of people swear by the stuff called calm, which is calcium and magnesium together. And they say they can't go to sleep without that.
Hmm.
So, you know, that might help. I don't know,
Yeah.
try it. It doesn't work for me, but it might help for other people.
It's called
Everybody I
calm.
know,
CALM. Calm. That
calm,
was
CALM. Yeah, it's been
okay.
around for a long time.
All right.
I know everybody but me thinks it's great. For me, it didn't work. I don't
Okay.
know why. I'm just weird. I've gotten used to it. Okay, so the next thing you want to do, if you have to go past that, you want to go to melatonin. Now, 3 milligrams of melatonin is usually plenty. Or you could get like a sustained release 5 milligram. And I like that one better for the simple reason that it's sustained release. So it's going to keep releasing through the night. Otherwise, normal just melatonin will usually disappear in a couple hours. So that wakes me up. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to take something, it's going to keep me sleeping through the rest of the night. I happen to really like sleeping. It feels good. So
It's a good thing.
yeah. Now, the other thing is there's another thing that you can take called GABA, which is gamma aminobenzoic acid. And that stuff is specifically for your monkey mind. If you cannot shut your mind up to go to sleep, you want GABA. If your body is overtired and you can't go to sleep, you want melatonin. So there's a difference there, the body brain separation.
Right.
Okay. But the GABA will help shut down the monkey mind. Now, that is not something that you want to take if you're on St. John's wort
Oh,
or pretty much anything else. You'll get a weird buzz in your head if you do. I found that out by accident.
huh.
It's a really weird buzz. It's not fun. So, yeah, be careful what you're taking. Any of these things that you're going to take, supplements that are going to mess with either your hormones or, sleep chemicals or anything like that, make sure that you do some research on it first. A along with what other medications or supplements you may be taking. Just keep an eye on that kind of stuff, okay?
Right.
So you don't hurt yourself. Okay, the other thing is Benadryl. When I worked in the hospital, it was very common to give elderly people Benadryl to get them to go to sleep. And especially because a lot of elderly people go into what we call sundowner syndrome. The sun goes down, they go nuts. And the
Oh,
reason they do is because they're not balanced on their sleep hormones, for one thing, and other hormones. And what'll happen is when the sun goes down and they don't have the natural stimulation of the sunlight, then things kind of get messed up in their brains and they get kind of paranoid. And it's really awful because you can't get them to lay back down. They do crazy stuff. I mean, we
huh.
had people in the hospital that would rip off the foam on their restraints because we had to
Oh
restrain a
gosh.
bunch of people. And they would pick at it and they would rip off the foam of the restraints so they could slip out of them.
Oh
And I
wow.
remember one night we were sitting in report and we kept hearing all this hollering and banging. We're like, what the hell is that? So we get done with report and we come out and we see the nursing staff is all red faced and panting. And this little old man had done exactly that. He ripped out the foam, got himself out of the restraints, and he was trying to break the window in the room.
Oh gosh.
It was right next to where we were getting report and escape. So, and other people go into full hallucinations. So with those people, you usually keep a light on for them because if they go into total darkness, they just can't handle it.
Huh.
And they take a lot more. But for most people, if you're a normal person, you don't have, big health problems and mental problems and things like that. You could take something like Benadryl and it will relax you enough and decrease inflammation enough so that you can go to sleep. And I'll use that once in a while. And I try not to use it all the time. So I might have to use it maybe 3 or 4 days, and then I'm usually okay. The other thing is, if you're awake and you cannot go to sleep for whatever reason, you've tried these other things and it hasn't worked, then get up and do something. I mean, I used to get up and get back on the computer and I would just stay up because every once in a while you have to reset your sleep cycle.
Right.
And so that's what I had to do for me. And, maybe it's because I was a night person for most of my life. I don't know. But I found that if I can stay up and do that for, one day, one night, I'm okay. It'll reset the cycle and I'll go back to being able to sleep. But I notice I have a cycle. So like I might sleep, maybe 4 hours for a couple of days. And then it might go to 5 hours. Then it might go to 7 hours. And if I'm lucky, it goes to 8, maybe even 9. I get really excited when that happens. And then I might have a couple sleepless nights. And one of them is bound to be one of those where I cannot sleep at all.
Right.
So I just get up and do stuff. I don't waste my time or the energy that I have. I just get up and do things I need to get done during the next day because I know by the afternoon I'm going to be looking for a nap.
Yeah.
Unlock your natural healing gifts and transform lives. Are you intuitive, compassionate, and driven to make a difference? The Wonder Network offers you a path to turn your calling into a fulfilling career in the healing arts. Imagine helping others while building a rewarding profession, all within 60 to 90 days, and we even have payment plans to help get you started. Our holistic health training courses empower you to develop your unique healing abilities, start earning while you learn, join a supportive community of like-minded individuals. Ready to embrace your true potential? Click now to discover how the Wonder Network can guide you towards a meaningful career in holistic healing. Your journey begins here.
So you have to figure out, what is your cycle? Here's the other thing too. one of the things that people tend to not be aware of is a thing called the Chinese body clock. So this is a thing that, if you're into traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and things like that, you have probably heard of this. And it's a clock that has all of these hours, it's throughout the entire 24 hours. And what it tells you is if you keep waking up at this particular time and it's not an alarm that you've set, or it's not, that you woke up that time for 40 years while you were working and now you're retired. But if it starts happening at certain of these hours, it will tell you that there's a physical problem that you need to address. So, for instance, a lot of people wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. That's the liver. So that's
Oh,
pointing the need for liver cleansing. And so if you know that, and you can find lots of these Chinese body clock charts on the internet. So you want to look at it, you want to say, hey, if I'm waking up at this time, what's going on? And you might wake up at 11 and again at 1 and again at 3. Well, that's the gallbladder and the liver.
hmm.
And if you wake up between 3 and 5, it's the lung. 5 to 7, large intestine.
Huh.
7 to 9, stomach. 9 to 11, spleen. And then 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., heart. Kind of interesting that it's in the center of the day like that.
Yeah.
Small intestine goes 1 to 3. 3 to 5 is bladder. 5 to 7 is kidney. 7 to 9 p.m. is pericardium. And then 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. is the triple burner. And that's an important meridian or acupuncture point. And I've blown that out before. It's not fun. It's really not fun.
But some of
But
those hours,
that's a whole other
you're
discussion.
not sleeping all those hours. So if those hours, but where most of us are awake during the daytime, but they're still related to an organ or something.
Some people are sleeping during those times. I
So,
was.
so that's something. Okay. So if you're a daytime sleeper, yeah, and you're doing working a
Yeah.
swing or a graveyard shift, and that's where you look. Okay. I have never
Yeah.
heard of that before, the Chinese body clock. Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Well, you
interesting.
wouldn't have heard it, unless you're into traditional Chinese medicine.
Right.
So, yeah, that can be a clue as to what's really going on in your body. Because the main thing is, people tend to think it's just a stress thing,
Right.
and it could be. But the thing is that you want to check out the body and make sure there's not a problem with the body that's causing this, because any imbalance in the body can also give you insomnia.
Right.
So, look at all the things that could cause it. Yeah. And try some of the simple things to see if those are going to help. Now, some of the other simple things are weighted blankets. People love weighted blankets. Some people. I don't. I like things light. You wouldn't think so, thinking that I like a goose down quilt, but it's a lot lighter than a weighted blanket.
Then a weighted blanket. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like that heaviness on my body, but I like the warmth. So, it just depends on what your body likes.
Right.
And, I grew up having to use wool blankets. We didn't have goose down quilts, but we had wool, and man, those things are heavy, you know?
Yeah.
So, try it. If you haven't tried it and you've tried everything else, well, maybe try a weighted blanket. And, just think of it this way. If it doesn't work, you can always give it away
Right.
or put it in your guest room for somebody that has to have a weighted blanket when they come to visit. And then one of the star things that helps people to sleep is the wet socks therapy. So this is hydrotherapy, and it sounds weird. And I tried for over 20 years to get my sister to do this, and she wouldn't listen to me. Well, she finally did it. And then she was like, oh my God, that actually works. Now, she was using it for a sinus infection when nothing else worked, but you can also use it to go to sleep. So you need a thin pair of cotton socks, 100% cotton, or as close as you can get, and then a pair of wool socks. So wool, okay, not mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff. So you have to read the contents before you buy this stuff. I always look for 100% wool, and there's 100% alpaca socks that you can get on Amazon. So read your stuff. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the cotton socks and you're going to soak them in ice water. And you're going to go take your shower or your bath, and always end with cold.
Right.
So you start with hot, you get nice and comfy, and then when you're all done, you shower with cold. And that's really important. The reason you want to do that is because otherwise you're just going to be really fatigued, because the heat will draw the blood out to the periphery of the body. And if you use the cold, it'll push it back really quick, which is great if you want to wake up in the morning. You do that a couple times back and forth, hot and cold.
Right.
But for the nighttime, you get comfortable with the warmth and then end with ice cold, or as cold as you can get it. And that is going to help you to get the blood back into the center of the body where it needs to be. And it'll actually help you sleep. And with the wet socks, it's kind of that, but it's a lot easier. But you do that, then you towel dry really quick and go jump into bed. And you take your wet socks with you. You wring them out, stick them on your feet immediately, and cover them with the wool socks, and
Hmm.
then go to bed. Don't go running around the house. You do this,
Right.
do your shower or your bath and shower, put the wet socks on, go to bed. You will sleep like a baby,
Wow.
and they won't stay wet. They'll
They
get
won't.
nice and toasty warm.
They'll dry out on your feet.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever heard that. That just sounds going to bed with wet, soggy socks. That sounds so
Yeah.
unappealing. Yeah.
Hence the reason I couldn't get my sister to do it for 20
Yeah.
years until
I
she
I
was
don't blame
desperate.
her. Yeah. Yeah. I think you'd have to be desperate. Yeah. Because that just, especially in the wintertime, that
Yeah.
really, you got a cold house in the
Oh, but it
wintertime,
helps.
oh,
Yeah.
heck, let me put on some cold, wet socks before I go to bed.
Well, you do wring them out, they don't stay really cold.
Right.
But
True.
the thing is that, especially if you're a person who gets really cold, then this works really, really well.
Huh.
And it makes everything so nice. And you will, like I said, you'll sleep like a baby. And you'll wake up in the morning and be going, huh, my socks are completely dry.
What's the
Yeah.
mechanism behind it? Why it makes you sleep
It
so
draws,
well?
because of the cold, it draws the blood from the center of your body down to your feet. And this is why it
Okay.
works for sinus infections too, or
All
colds.
right.
Not a chest cold. Chest cold, you do a wet t-shirt, but and a wool sweater over that. But basically, it draws the blood down to that area because body's going, oh, the feet are freezing. And
Right.
so it sends blood down there, which then warms up, and you've got the wool to hold it in there to insulate it. And so then
Okay.
all the blood gets warmed up and goes back through the body, and you get really comfortable. You
Hmm.
ever heard of people that fell into a snowbank and they would have died because they got so comfortable?
I know well, yeah, I know people, they make like snow caves and that's kept them alive. I've
Well,
never heard the
it doesn't
snow
keep
bank
you
thing.
alive if you don't get out.
Right.
Same principle if you're going to do hydrotherapy in between the pool and the jacuzzi.
Right.
And boy, I was an expert at that for a long time. I was doing that ever since I was in my early 20s. But you get in the jacuzzi until you can't stand it anymore. You're too hot, and
Right.
I always have to pump the temperature up. But anyway, you get in the jacuzzi till you're too hot, and then you dive into the ice cold pool.
Right.
And the first time, you pretty much walk on water because it's cold, you know. And then you do a lot of oh,
Yeah.
and then you get a little bit comfortable. You go back into the jacuzzi, and you do that a couple times. About the third time that you do that, it'll feel so good to get into the ice cold pool. And we never heated our pool in the wintertime because of that, because we were using it as hydrotherapy. If
Right.
you're in an area with snow, then all you need is some means of heating, whether it's a steam room or a sauna or whatever, or a jacuzzi, and then you just go jump into the snow.
Right.
So whatever it takes, but you want that shock between the hot and the cold to get your blood pumping.
Right.
And so it works great. I mean, when I
I've
had the
done
swimming
that.
pool and the
I've done the
jacuzzi, wow,
jacuzzi to the pool thing. Yeah. I know that was
yeah,
healthy. Yeah. The hot, cold, hot, cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it really helps. So it helps to wake you up and it also helps to put you to sleep.
Yeah. And I do it in
So
the
it,
shower once in a while too. Yeah. Where you
yeah,
go from a hot shower and then you just crank it over to the cold. And I'll do
and
that
always
last
end with cold.
and with cold. Yeah. Just that last
Yeah.
30 seconds to 60 seconds in the cold. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because that'll get your blood moving. And that just really helps with sleep. Like I found that I take that approach every night before I go to bed.
Okay.
And I love it. And then if I'm doing a lot of stuff during the day and I really need to get pumping, I'll jump in the shower and do the hot, cold. And that gets the blood moving too. And then I go on with my day. So it depends on what I'm doing with my day. But for the evening, yeah, I have to have that hot, cold stuff in order to sleep well. And it really, really does help. The reason that it helps is because it knocks you out of the the lack of pendulum swing between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic system is fight or flight. Parasympathetic is rest and healing. And so there's like this pendulum, but most people are at the far end of the pendulum and they're stuck. They're not getting into the parasympathetic. So you need something to shock you into the parasympathetic, and that's what this does.
Okay.
So then you'll be able to rest and to heal. So that could be all you need in order to sleep well, but you're not going
Right.
to know unless you try it.
Right. Okay.
So,
Well, that's
okay,
good to
those are
know.
my tips. You have
No.
anything that helps you to sleep?
Well, probably not. I know the wet sock thing would the wet socks would have never been on my tip list. Yeah, to sleep well. So I will have to remember that.
Yeah, try it.
If the time arises, I will. Um, I do have a question. What I've been coming across a lot too are these earthing bed pads,
Oh, yeah, earthing is great. Yeah, I have one of those on my
and
bed
they actually
too.
just plug into the wall and earth, and then you're actually because it's just a bed pad. From
Mhm.
what the ones I've seen, are those really effective?
Yeah, yeah, those help you to ground. What it is basically, the part that plugs in is actually the ground.
Right.
So it's not actually plugged into electric, it's plugged into the ground wire.
Okay.
And so that'll drain a lot of the positive ions off of your body
Right.
because those are the ones that cause the problem. So yeah, but the problem is it has to be like kind of next to your body. And I can feel the plastic or whatever it is, that the knit that they use on that.
Right.
And so it's not as close to my body as it should be.
Okay.
So you have to look at, what do they make it out of and what do they recommend? And usually they'll say, it can go under your sheet, but, not any farther than that. But for those of us that sleep hot, it's kind of difficult because you start to notice that, it's uncomfortable because
Oh,
of whatever they use to make the mat with.
okay. Well, that's good to know because actually I've looked into them and have casually thought about trying one out.
Yeah, let's look for one that has a money back guarantee
Okay.
so you can send it back if it doesn't work for you. I mean,
What
there's a
about
lot of things that we can do. The main thing with having an effective sleep routine is finding out what you need. I mean, if you've got a chronic degenerative thing going on, you need to fix that.
right?
I mean, how are you going to go to sleep if a part of your body is constantly hurting and trying to tell you, hey, I need some help?
True.
You need to listen to the body. What is it the body needs? And then proceed with that. And oh, another thing is a lot of people that really should be on CPAP, they goes
Yeah.
well, there's masks and then there's also the nasal pillows that go in the nostrils. But a lot of people I know have either been told they need to be on oxygen at night or they need to be on CPAP or BiPAP. And the thing is with that is I would say 9 out of 10 people that I've talked to said, "Oh yeah, my doctor told me that I had to use that, but I don't use it because, I just can't do that." And what I have to say to you, if you're one of those people, is grow up. That's ridiculous. Okay. I understand it's uncomfortable, And I know that, okay? I've experienced it. But the problem is, if you need more oxygen, you're going to lose the function of your brain if you don't get it. And it could kill you. So, when somebody tells me, well, I just don't like that and I just can't sleep that way, grow up. Don't be a ding dong, as
Right.
some people say. You can tell I've been watching too many cooking shows with the French chef, Don't be a ding dong. The thing is, if you need something for your healing, do it. Stop
Right.
being a little namby-pamby about it. Oh, I can't do that. I mean, I just shake my head at these people. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but you can get used to it. You should have seen me when I had a leg that was cut open in 5 places and a wound vac wrapped around my whole leg.
So,
And I had CPAP on with oxygen. And I was a stomach sleeper until that point.
mm,
That's the only way I could get to sleep was to roll over onto my stomach.
right.
And so, yeah, I went through some nights that were difficult, but I got used to it. I trained my body to sleep on my back. And yeah, it took a while. But you know what? My health and my life are more important to me than a little bit of discomfort. And it goes away. Your body gets used to the change. So, please don't poo poo the whole idea. If you actually need oxygen, then you need to get it or your life is going to be shortened.
Right.
So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox now, but that kind of stuff just makes me so
No,
mad.
that's a good point to make. Yeah. No, yeah.
It makes me feel like I want to
Yeah.
reach out and slap him upside the head,
Yeah.
you know?
And it overrides, getting a good night's sleep's not going to matter. Yeah. If you're not alive. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, and
Yeah.
it's very simple to take care of nowadays with the CPAP or oxygen if all you need is oxygen, but you
Right.
do a sleep study to determine that. And the thing is that it will give you your life back. Instead of being constantly tired all day, that could make the difference for you that you're actually having more energy, that you have more joy of
True.
life.
Yeah. Very true.
You know, it makes a huge difference. So, just I don't know what else I could say to help people to understand how important it is. But a lot of the dementia that we see is because people won't wear the oxygen or they won't use the
Oh,
CPAP
right.
and their brain starts to atrophy. It dies.
Yeah.
Your brain needs oxygen and fats and a little bit of glucose,
Right.
but it needs those things in order to operate. So if you want to keep your mental capacity, then I suggest you take care of this. If you need oxygen, get it. It's very simple.
Well,
So,
you'd think so. Yeah. That's
oh yeah,
pretty black and
I
white, it
I've
seems to me.
heard from so many people, they just don't want to do it. And it's
Huh.
like, okay, well, do you want to live?
Yeah.
Either you want to live or you don't. If you
Yeah.
don't want to live and you need to be on CPAP, then okay, just admit that no, you don't want to live and
Yeah. It
go
doesn't.
enjoy your life until you don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You
if
can't get
you
any
really
more
want to
clear than that.
live and you need this stuff, then do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
You'd
I
think,
don't
yeah.
know. I just
Well, it's as simple as
you know,
breathing. Yeah. We got to breathe.
well, I understand that naturopaths are different. We're all weird. We will do things that most people in their right minds would not do, all in the sake of health. And we will eat and drink things that most people will not do. So, like I used to tell my patients, when I'd give them a tincture and they turn their nose up and they'd say, "Oh, this doesn't taste good." I'd say, "Did I ask you if you liked it? Does this look to you like a face that cares?" I
No.
don't care. What I said was, "Drink it." And then they do. And then they get better.
Well, we all know any kind of medicine's not supposed to taste good anyways. Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to make things taste better, but you can't make everything taste better.
No, it's true. This is true.
So, yeah,
I've ate some pretty
but
or drank some pretty bad stuff. I tell you, in the name of health, like you just talked about. Yeah.
yeah, Well, and the thing is, as I remind my friends now and then, put on your big boy or big girl pants and do this.
Right.
You're asking me for help. I'm telling you what will help you. So, like, grow up, take responsibility for your health, and do it. Other than
Pretty
that,
simple.
I lose sympathy after a time. You
Yeah.
know, it's
It's
like,
easy to do.
yeah, I'll be sympathetic for the first couple of times, and then after that, I'm like, all right, so continue being sick.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah. Then it's up to them. You got to take responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
everything
uh,
in your life is your responsibility.
true.
You know,
True.
no matter what has happened, how you approach it after the happening is going to determine the rest of your life. It's up to you.
I have one thing also to ask you on the sleep thing. It kind of hit my mind because I know some people do this, and it kind of counters the idea of, I guess, having a dark room. Is what's your thoughts on the Himalayan salt lamps? Sleeping with those on.
It's okay. I mean, it's better to have it dark,
Right.
but they do give you negative ions.
Right.
And so it is very soothing to the body. Um, for me, I like it pitch dark.
Me too. Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, if you have to have a light on, then okay. But just understand you might want to put on a sleep mask or something.
Okay.
You know, it just depends. I mean, some people are afraid of the dark, even as adults.
Yeah. No,
I've
yeah.
had friends that were terrified of the dark and would go to sleep with the TV on
Yep.
or the radio on, and
Yep.
neither one of those should be happening
Right.
because when you're asleep, you don't have a filter to what's going into your brain. So your subconscious is going to take everything as real.
It's like
So
getting subliminal messages in a way. Yep.
it'll really screw you up. So no
Yep.
TV and no radio.
Right.
If you want to put on some music and it's good music, it's that can help. But
Or what about one of the frequencies like 432 or
yeah,
something like that?
frequencies are fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as you can trust the frequency.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.
Well, I think that is all some more great, helpful information for everybody out there. Yeah. Because we all need sleep.
Yes, I'm a great fan of sleep.
Yeah. I am too. I think most people are,
Yeah.
especially as you get older. Yeah. It does come in handy once in a while. So
Yeah.
if you got nothing else to add, I think that will be our show today.
Yep.
And I am Michael Late. This is Dr. Val. This is the Wonder Network, where we bring you healthy options for humanity. And until next time, we'll see you then.